Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for coming tonight. As April said, this will be a general open Q&A. Please don't hesitate to talk to Bashar about whatever it is you feel is important in your lives to talk to him about. For those that are not familiar with the background, just very briefly, Bashar does present himself as an extraterrestrial consciousness. Our understanding of this is that this is a telepathic contact. He's not here. He's not speaking English. He's sending thoughts. I've been trained to sort of match the frequency of those thoughts. And by getting in the proper state, what you're getting is a translation of his thoughts made out of the words, the language that I was raised to understand, which is English. He's actually channeled through other people around the world from time to time. One time through a woman in Japan. And even though it was coming through a woman and coming out in Japanese, it was unmistakably the same personality. This began for me 32 years ago, predicated by two very close UFO sightings over Los Angeles, where I live. First time about 150 feet away, second time only about 70 feet away, broad daylight with multiple witnesses, which started me on a journey of learning what this was all about, and eventually found myself in a channeling class where the connection was made. And the question was asked if this was something that I wanted to do, having made an agreement before this life, was it something I still wanted to do? And after thinking about it for a while, I realized that the important thing about this channeling is not that anyone has to believe that Bashar is an extraterrestrial, because obviously we have no way at this time of proving who he is. But whatever this is that's coming through, channeling itself is a real state. We're all capable of channeling, and we probably all do channel from time to time in our lives. Anytime a singer is lost in the song, an actor becomes the character, that's a channeling state. But in that state, you can also apparently access not only other levels of your own consciousness, but other consciousnesses as well, if that's what you have a mind to do. So apparently that is what is happening here. But again, you don't have to believe Bashar is an ET. The thing that's the most important is the information. If the information is something you find that you can apply in your life and it works for you, makes a difference in a positive and constructive way, then that's the reason that we do this. Eventually, Bashar has said there will come a time in the near future when we can probably meet their people face to face, when certain things change on the planet. And we look forward to that day, but in the meantime, they want to make sure the information is the most important thing that's focused on, not so much the messenger, but the message. To that end, they deal with us on a variety of issues. Again, what they're giving you is what has worked for them in their society, and they are very happy and willing to discuss how to implement what works for them in a society in which they live that's unified, harmonized, and peaceful, and how they believe that a lot of those principles can work for us. The thing that we really sort of appreciate about Bashar is he really brings those philosophies down to earth, no pun intended, in a very practical way that allows us to use them, apply them, and actually get a result. And that seems to be the real strength of what he's delivering and why we keep doing this, because people keep coming back and saying that when they apply the information, it made an incredible change in their lives, and that's all we need to hear to keep going. So please enjoy. The more fun you have with him, the more fun he'll have with you. As April said, please, by all means, do, when you come up and ask your question, speak up so that everyone can hear you. I'm sure Bashar will prompt you in that if he feels that everyone can't. Those that are not directly familiar with him will find that his personality is exceedingly direct. Nevertheless, he will have a lot of fun with you. So please relax, talk to him like you would talk to a friend, and let's just see where this goes. Again, thanks a lot for allowing me to do this, because I get a lot out of it too. It's changed my life drastically in a variety of ways, and hopefully you will enjoy it as well. So have fun. Thanks a lot. I'll see you later.
will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. First and foremost, we would like to extend our deep appreciation at allowing this transmission to take place at this time and in this way. Each and every time your civilization allows our civilization to interact with you in this way, it forms a link, it forms a bridge, forms a connection, and it allows us to create with you a new vibration of a new reality in which we can both interact and in which we can both create new ideas, new experiences, new challenges, and growth for the spirit and the soul of us all. So we thank you for your participation in this way. We would like to begin this interaction, this transmission, with the idea that you are, even though physical, nevertheless energy, and that in this interaction, there is given not only the words, not only the sounds coming through the channel, through the biological translator, but also vibrations, energy fields are being given off. Alterations are happening in the channel's body to allow this transmission to occur, and those alterations actually spread out in electromagnetic waves throughout the room you are in, enveloping you in a bubble that is vibrationally similar to our reality, so that when the information is being delivered, you can feel in time that you're actually being immersed in our reality, and so that the vibration of our reality will aid and assist in allowing the information we are dispensing to be absorbed by you in an effortless way. It doesn't matter if you hear all the words. There is communication going on a number of different levels, and you will receive what you need to receive when you need to receive it. So relax and just enjoy. You do not have to listen too hard. It is really a matter of simply opening up and sharing and being willing to look at other ideas in other directions, from other perspectives, and just consider how your world can be, how it can be aligned to what you imagine, to what you dream it can be. That is all that is required to participate in this interaction. Your unconscious minds, your higher conscious self will do the rest. In all these interactions, with this energy vibration being given off, I remind you that each and every one of you are also giving off electromagnetic energy with every beat of your heart. An actual spherical wave of electromagnetic energy is rushing outward from each of your bodies and the channel's body at the speed of light, and you're all enveloped in that heart energy. And that is the level on which the real communication occurs. And as you receive and send these vibrations, and as those vibrations absorb the information and the patterns being delivered, and as your minds consider what is being said and opens itself to new ideas and new perspectives, also understand what is happening is that you are literally being physically rewired. Your brains, every single thought you have in life actually changes the pathways in your brains electrically. So what we are doing in this sharing tonight is also co-creating a rearrangement of the pathways of your brain to make it more possible for you to have the kinds of inspirations and imaginations and see what kind of opportunities can occur in your life and open to synchronicities in your life and manifestations that will allow you to more effortlessly create the realities you all say you prefer and desire to experience on your planet. So this is not just a talk. It is actually a reconstruction of your personalities, a reconstruction, a rearrangement of your energies with your permission and your co-creation. It is not something we are doing to you. It is something we are doing together with your permission and willingness, and only to the extent that you are ready. We will never, in that sense, intervene, interfere, or force any idea upon you, because that would be pointless. The idea is for you to absorb this information in your own way, apply it in whatever way is in alignment with your joy, your truth, your love, your excitement, your true self, and in applying it in the way of your true self, thus then you will radiate into the world more energy of like kind that will then also allow other people, in being exposed to your energy,
to also imagine that they can create a better world, a world of their dreams, a world of their joys, a world of their truth, and you act by example, radiating this energy outward from one to another until you reach critical mass. And when you reach critical mass, then miraculous things and magical things occur in your reality. Because remember, physical reality doesn't really exist outside of you. It only exists inside of you. There is no out there. That's just a mirror. It's just an illusion. It's just a reflection of what you believe yourselves to be at any given moment, of what you believe is truest at any given moment. When you look into a physical mirror and you see your reflection frowning, you do not go over to the mirror and attempt to make the reflection smile. You change the expression on your face, and the mirror will have no choice but to reflect the smile back to you. But the key issue here is you have to smile first before you'll see it reflected from the mirror. Physical reality is structured that way. If your reality is not what you prefer it to be, you cannot so much change it before you change yourselves. If you want to see anything in your reality change yourselves to the frequency and the vibration that you prefer to be. And when you do so, then you will be taking yourself to a parallel reality that reflects that vibration. You will have changed no one outside yourself. You will have changed yourself and transported yourself to a vibrational reality that is more representative and reflective of the change you have now made and the preference you have now acknowledged is true for you. That's how it works. It's simple physics. And you will get the handle on this idea of soul physics, spiritual physics, because that's what it's all about. It all happens within you. Life does not happen to you. It happens through you. You are made in the image of God, and that means you are co-creators. And everything you experience is the result of all the definitions you have within you that tell you what you believe is possible, what you think is true, what you believe or don't believe can be manifested. All these dialogues, all these interactions that we have with your species are for the purpose of allowing you to illuminate within yourselves who you really are, so that you can wake up into your truth and have a world and have a mirror that is reflective of that. Remember, the key issue in all of our dialogues, as we have said recently before, is that this whole age of transition on your planet is all about changing from being under the illusion of power and finally learning how to use the power of the illusion. That is what it is all about. Awakening to the power of the illusion and not succumbing to the illusion of power. You are the channels of your own lives. Energy from all that is passes through your personalities and manifests in your experience of your lives. By clearing and balancing and changing your personality to be in alignment with the vibration of who you know you are at heart, in your soul, in your spirit, then your physical personality prism can allow the unbroken white light of all that is to manifest through you the spectrum, the beautiful balanced spectrum that then is reflected back to you as the kind of physical reality experience you desire to have. And it is eminently doable because you're creating it right now. There is not a time ever that you do not create. It cannot be so. Were there a moment when you stopped creating, you would not have an experiential reality. So it isn't an issue about learning how to create the reality that you want. The only issue is allowing yourself to get in touch with why you may be creating the reality you are so that you can change the parameters of how you create your reality. It's not about having to learn to create. You are natural creators. You naturally trust 100% all the time in something. And it's just an issue of what it is your trusting is. You don't have to learn how to trust. You don't have to learn how to create. You don't have to learn how to manifest. You are already automatically doing all these things. It is in your nature to do so. That's how you were created. The only issue is what it is you believe to be true, what it is. Thus then you are manifesting what it is. Thus then you define as what you place your trust within.
That's all there is to it. And everything we shall talk about shall be based on these fundamental principles. Does that all make sense to you? Yes. Why, thank you so very much. We will thus then at this time invite your dialogues for what you call questions and answers. But understand, you don't need to have a question to speak with us. You can make statements as well. So by all means, begin. And speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to share.
Thank you, Bashar, and good evening.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. I have a three-part question.
Oh, part one?
All the different frequencies of light, do they all travel at the same speed?
Generally speaking, they do, although light can vary its speed under certain conditions.
Part two, the speed of thought. What is the speed of thought and what is the nature of thought? I understand it travels at basically an unlimited speed.
Well, yes, but it also depends on what you mean by the speed of thought. Because if you're just talking about physiologically, the speed of the electric currents in your brain are only about 150 miles an hour. But we understand what you generally as humans mean when you say the speed of thought. You recognize that you can have thoughts instantaneously, and thus then you can think about anything, anywhere, anytime, anywhen, immediately. And in that context, what that simply means when you talk about the speed of thought is that it's a recognition on your part that everything is connected, everything is one, and that the ideas of distance and time are just illusions. So that you can literally, if you understand how to manipulate the energy vibrations, think yourself anywhere, anywhen, instantaneously. And in that sense, yes, the speed of thought is infinite, but it is also, shall we say, timeless, because everything is connected. Everything is here, everything is now, everything is one. Does this make some sense to you?
Yes, that was the context I was thinking of as traveling about the universe.
All right. Well, you see, that's the key. And this is how our spacecraft work. We don't really travel per se. Although, of course, there are times we can, shall we say, alter the function of the ship and, so to speak, travel slowly from place to place. The instantaneousness of jumping from star to star is exactly that. It is instantaneous. And the reason it is instantaneous is for the following idea. We have learned that what you call location is not a place an object exists in. Location is a property of the object itself. Does that make sense to you? I'll explain. You see the idea, let's say, of a ball. And if you have a ball in location A, and then you take the ball and move it to location B, what you have to understand is it's not the same ball. It's two different balls. The ball, when it is in location A, is a vibrational equation that contains the vibration location A. It's actually part of the object. When you move it to location B, the locational vibration changes. And the equation changes, and it's not the same ball. Now, if you understand that everything is one, but it only appears different because of variances in the vibrational frequency within the idea of itself, then what you can have is a ball or a spaceship at one location, knowing that location is part of the property of the ship itself. You can surround the ship with an energy bubble that, in a sense, unlocks it from any particular location, allows it to free float, in a sense, in an interdimensional free zone. Impose upon it the vibration of location B. In a sense, you're telling it it is no longer the equation that contains location A. It's now the equation of energy that contains location B. When you remove the bubble, the idea is that it will immediately find itself instantaneously at location B, no matter how far away it is, because it can no longer exist at location A, because it's no longer that equation. Does that make sense?
I believe so.
And that is similar to the idea of the speed of thought.
So does that mean that you're here now or you're on your own planet?
Well, I am on my ship at this moment.
And is that here?
It is over the city you call Cairo,
Ah,
3,000 miles above.
cool.
Now, what was your part 3?
Part 3, love, is it constituted of light or thought or...
Light is a manifestation of a vibration that you also translate as love. We understand this may not translate very easily in your language, but of course there are a variety of ways to experience the concept that you call love, a variety of translations. But the fundamental frequency of existence itself, the fundamental frequency of creation itself, the fundamental vibration you are all linked to is what you would translate in your language to be unconditional love.
That's the ethers of the universe?
Again, when you say ethers, that's a step removed. It's the effect. And ether and light are effects of love, of the vibration of creation itself, interacting with itself and spinning off, as you would say, certain kinds of side effects that create the physical experiences and energetic experiences you are talking about. The vibration of existence itself is not any particular thing, per se. It is all things at once, manifesting itself out of unconditional love into all things. Does this make sense? Is it translating in your language at all?
I believe so. The meaning I'm making is that the nature or the nature of the all that is love.
Yes, that's its very essence. The vibration you translate as unconditional love is the vibration that is the very essence of creation itself. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Yes, prior to coming here, before I made the decision to come here, I had 3 synchronicities
Oh, all right.
involving the idea of your essence.
Yes.
I want to talk about that because it was rather unique. The first synchronicity was a dream in which you were with me.
Yes.
And you were moving me in positions around the room, almost like introducing me to either people or I'm not sure.
All right.
Somebody saw us together, quote unquote, and said, well, you two, the audience is going to laugh, but...
That's all right. They could use a good laugh.
Well, I certainly did. Someone said to me in the dream, it was like we were attached at the hip.
Yes.
And they said, well, why don't you two get a room?
Yes.
And I looked and said, well, for heaven's sakes, he's an extraterrestrial. I'm not going to have sex with him.
Why not?
Well, it's not impossible, I know. But at that point,
all right.
You now slipped another person there, took your place, and
Yes.
had his hands on my shoulder and was taking me around the room.
Yes.
I didn't quite understand all the significance of that dream, although I've had many interactions.
Right. What you were actually perceiving is a translation of what actually occurred in another dimension. Many of you in dream states actually, shall we say, visit us on our ships, on our planets. You interact. But when you wake up, your brains can only translate part of the experience that took place in another reality. It can only make sense out of some of it, and will clothe the dream in a certain way using the props and symbols and people of your planet, so that you have at least a representation of the scenario to some degree. So, in a sense, you were in spirit visiting, and were recognizing that there are different kind of energies that you can be aligned with that will help you on Earth in your life learn how to switch to the different energies. The different personality aspects you were being introduced to were all aspects of you. And that you can thus master the idea of switching into those different personalities, and yes, even making love with yourself, and give birth, in a sense, to a new you. This, in a sense, was a type of orientation training that you experienced, but only remembered as this symbolic dream. You're all very busy when you're asleep, you know. You never stop, you never stop, you never stop. But you have other things to do in other places at those times that you are reconnecting back into those vibrational dimensional levels. Does this help?
Absolutely. All right, then the second part of this synchronicity was about 2 weeks later, and another dream.
Yes.
And I was with some person involved with them somehow. I don't know if it was sexually, but it had that connotation. And someone came.
That seems to be on your mind a lot.
Well, maybe.
All right.
Someone comes in the room and said, well, aren't you going to the Bashar channeling? And I
Yes.
looked at them like, are you crazy at a time like this?
What's time got to do with it?
Well, I don't know. The third synchronicity, of course, was opening this coupon book and noticing that there's a cleaners in my area called Bashar Cleaning.
Oh, all right.
So somehow I coordinated those three synchronicities that maybe I should show up here at this.
And so you did.
And so I did.
All right. Well, thank you for creating the synchronicities in your life that thus then allowed you to see that you are posting your own markers along your path to show you exactly in what direction you need to go. Not that you need to come and talk with us, but that you're reinforcing for yourself that you know exactly what you're doing. You give yourself absolutely clear and unmistakable signs, and that there are no accidents in that synchronicity because, of course, as you know, the word Bashar is not our name. It's a word that was chosen to represent what we're doing. It has to do with the channel's cultural background, being Arabic to some degree. The word Bashar simply means messenger or bringer of good news. But in your own synchronicity, also brilliantly done, was the indication that the coupon had to do with a cleaner, which is what you're doing with your life. Cleaning out the vibrations that have nothing to do with you and leaving yourself sparkling new. You understand?
I do.
So you know what you're doing. Learn to trust it. Just follow the signs. You will not be off your path because you are the path. You can't be off yourself. So wherever you wind up, that is at that moment where you need to be. Deal with it. Learn from it. Absorb it. Transform it. Acknowledge it. Own it. And then create who you prefer to be. Follow your own signs. They really do serve you. You have a lot of help, all of you, with guides. You are your own best guide when you pay attention to your own synchronicities, and that will show you that you all have the capability of seeing the clear path that you are unfold and manifest in the reality you desire and prefer. It's as simple as that. Does that help you?
Absolutely. Thank
Why,
you.
Thank you, and pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
I'm sure there will be more.
Hi.
And to you, good day.
I met you in
good day.
Good day.
Thank you.
I met you in about 1991 in Encino at a channeling session.
All right.
You referred to me as the hermit. How good is your memory? Do you remember that?
I have no memory of anything.
Oh, you don't?
No, I do not rely on memory. I know what I need to know when I need to know it, not a second before. I don't need memory.
I asked if we could communicate telepathically, and
And
tried to.
we did.
Yeah. So you do remember?
Yes, but I only remember that now.
Are you still telepathic? Can I communicate with you telepathically right now for these people?
All people are telepathic when they desire to be.
Do you desire to be right
The
now?
idea right now is that we already have been, and that we must share with all in the room in a way that all can absorb. Now, one moment. One moment. One moment. Allow yourself an opportunity to ingest what would be the sweet melon, the sweet papaya. This vibration of this food and its color is the color of the mental energy and will aid and assist in the strengthening and the fortification of certain elements of your body that would be beneficial at this time for your further development. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, kind of. Can we communicate telepathically right now?
Have we not been?
Can I ask you a question telepathically without words?
I suppose you can. We are not guaranteeing we will receive it.
Oh, all right. We'll try, all right?
No.
We'll
There
do
is
it.
no trying.
We'll do it then, right?
We will see.
All right, here. Do you have access to the Akashic records?
All people do. But again, understand something. Everything we do in communicating with all of you accesses whatever it is we need at any given moment that is necessary to be accessed. When we come through in this method and communicate, we will impose upon ourselves limitations about what is accessible, because there are processes that humans go through that do not require information to be delivered, or it would spoil their process. So while we in our own reality may have less limitation on what we can access for ourselves, certain things will not be accessible if they will be those things that will interfere with a process you are going through that you must do yourself.
Oh, I think I understand that.
All right.
Can you, do you think you could say something about Ashtar Command? Do you know anything about that?
Yes.
Could you tell them something about Ashtar Command?
I was about to. The idea of Ashtar is a translation in human terms of a high-level dimensional consciousness that most humans think is actually a physical race of beings, but it's not. That's how it expresses itself through the human domain. That's how humans translate this high-level dimensional consciousness. And sometimes, in human societies, when they pick up on that consciousness, they may also add to it or color or tinge it with the idea of human institutions, such as religions, and give it a quasi-religious flavor. That's not what Ashtar itself is, but the Ashtar consciousness understands that that's how humans receive and perceive it to some degree, because of the nature of its vibration. But it is a high fifth-dimensional vibration of light that extends upward into other dimensions, and only a single aspect of the consciousness known as Ashtar has actually even communicated with humanity at this point in time. There are many other levels of that consciousness that have yet to communicate through to humanity, but humanity is not quite ready yet to absorb that level of energy and make sense out of it. A full dose of some of the Ashtar energy would actually make many people on your planet go insane. And so it allows itself to be translated in a way that makes sense to the institutions on your planet, so that you have something to relate to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Can I get one more question, short one?
That was a question right there.
Can you say something about star people and the 12th planet in Zacharias Sitchin?
We will not talk at length about that, except to say that such a planet does exist, but that there are many misunderstandings about exactly what its role is in relationship to Earth, although the Anunnaki, in his estimation, is relatively accurate. And that is all we are allowed to say about that at this particular moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Melanie. And
All right. Good day.
Good day. Thank you for your service to us.
Speak up and be bold.
Okay. My question is, from this moment to through the next year, what do you see as my life's work?
Whatever excites you the most. Do you understand that concept?
I believe so. If you could provide more clarity, please.
All right. Many of you now have begun to understand and hear the phrase, follow your bliss, follow your joy, act on your excitement. But why? Why is that important? Allow us to explain. The physical body, when it feels excitement, joy, love, creativity, when it feels that vibration, when it feels that sensation, that is your body's translation of the energy that represents your true natural core self. That's what excitement is. That's what love is. So when you act to the best of your ability at every given moment on whatever it is that excites you the most, you are being in best alignment with your true core self. And that, being your true core self,
is your life's work. When you talk about the idea of specifics, what is my mission? What is my purpose? What is my life's work? Specifically, you're not talking about your real purpose, mission, life's work. You're just talking about what expression do you prefer your mission to take? What form do you prefer your mission to take? You all have the same purpose in life. You all have the same mission in life. To be yourselves as fully as you can. That's all you need to do, to the best of your ability. How you do it is up to you. But the way you show yourself what that expression is by creating a vibration called excitement. And when something enters your life, an opportunity, a situation, a synchronicity, a door that you can walk through, a chance to take action on something, and when that thing, whatever it is at any given moment, contains the highest amount of excitement out of all the options available to you at that moment, then that's the one at that moment to act on to the best of your ability. When you have acted on it to the best of your ability, taken it as far as you possibly can, whatever it is, and you can take it no further, whatever is the next most exciting thing you have the ability to take action on, take it. Act on it. And when you have finished with that, look around. Look at all the options available to you again. Whatever at that moment is the most exciting thing you can take action on, do it. Excitement is the thread that leads you to every single expression of your purpose, your mission, your life's work that you need to fulfill in your life. Whatever it is that does not contain that excitement is not something at that moment anyway that has anything to do with you. Although, always be mindful of making sure and self-examining yourself with honesty as to whether or not something is or isn't exciting because you're judging it with a negative definition to be or not be, as opposed to a thing that might really be exciting that you deny is exciting because of a judgment. Always be clear as to whether the thing that you are presented with really is representative of your excitement or whether you're labeling it with definitions that make it seem to be something other than it actually is. But when you've determined that a thing is really your vibration, you're really passionate about it at that moment, it's the most exciting thing you can imagine doing at that moment, no matter what it is, do it. Because it will lead you to the rest of yourself for the rest of your life. I guarantee it. Excitement is the thread that leads to more of you. Follow it. And I mean on every level. When we talk about the idea of doing what excites you the most, we don't mean it has to manifest as a career, although it can, or a project, although it can. I mean at every given moment, there will be usually one thing over everything else that is either the most exciting thing at that moment you can think of doing, or if there are more than one thing that has the same degree of excitement, one of them will usually have more ability to be acted on than the other at that moment. Whatever has the highest excitement and you have the greatest ability to take action on at that moment, do it. Trust it. Follow it. It may seem like it's taking you like this, but it's actually the straightest, shortest, strongest, most powerful path. Because excitement is the vibration of your true self. And anytime you're willing to believe that and trust it and act on it, you will always be reinforced with synchronicity that will bring you to more opportunities to expand and amplify that excitement forever. Does that make sense as a principle to you?
It makes sense. To follow that, does that include a person? If I'm drawn to a person,
yes.
When I'm in their presence, I'm
yes.
excited, I'm
yes.
alive.
At the same time, having said all of this, act on your excitement to the best of your ability with absolutely zero expectation of the outcome. Zero expectation of the outcome. Because then you will truly be following the vibration itself, not what your mind has wrapped the vibration in. Because who knows? If you actually allow yourself to soften the image of what you think is supposed to happen when you follow your excitement, if you soften the idea of the symbol you're using and don't insist that it must be that kind of symbol or manifest in a particular way, then when you really follow your excitement with that degree of openness and lack of expectation, probably almost always you will get something even better than you imagined. When you insist on a certain way of manifestation, you're actually short-circuiting a way it might actually have come to you bigger and better. By closing a door on any other way it could have come. So use the symbol,
Follow your excitement, act on it to the best of your ability with integrity, but don't expect that the outcome must be what your mind thinks it should be, or that they are in your life, or the situation is in your life for the reason it appears to be. Because you are all very clever with yourselves, and you understand that you have, shall we say, hidden little pieces of yourself in a variety of compartments. And sometimes to coax one of those pieces out, you have to dangle a really nice carrot in front of your face just to get you to come out of your shell and start exploring a direction. It doesn't mean that the carrot is something you're supposed to eat. It just means you needed to come and move in that direction. So if you do it without expectation, you may not get the carrot, but you may get the entire orchard. You understand?
Yes.
Does this help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have two questions.
Oh, all right.
One question is, does your species practice, without any technology of any form, the ascension of the physical body?
Not completely yet. We are evolving as you are, and we maintain some connection to a degree of physicality, primarily for the purpose of interacting with other species such as your own, so that you have something to relate to. We are also evolving, and there are many of us who have allowed themselves to ascend beyond the use of anything that you would recognize as technology. But even the technology we use is not exactly technology as you understand it. It is mostly the idea of shapes and light and energy, and even our ships, in that sense, are extensions of our consciousness and are exactly alive and representative of our higher selves in a sort of energetic bubble form. Does that make sense?
Yes. Another question that I have is, does your species have any specific spiritual teachers that teach, again without technology, raising consciousness of your species from the fifth to the sixth dimensions?
Yes. We, in that sense, are going from fourth density to fifth density, as you are going from third density to fourth density. But we understand that these are just labels. But yes, we are inspired by many teachers of higher vibration than ourselves from many other different dimensions, one of them being a non-physical consciousness from Sirius. And also we had our own experience in our own civilization of something similar to what you recognize in your civilization as Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, Krishna spirit, that idea. In our ancient language, it was called Shakana. Shakana appeared in our world as the manifestation of a collection of our entire world's consciousness and only existed in our reality for 3 days. That was enough for us. It had transformed our entire awareness of ourselves in 3 days. Your Buddha nature, Krishna spirit, Christ consciousness is exactly the same thing. It is a representation of the collective souls of your entire civilization in one embodiment. And the messages delivered by all of those beings are reflections of the potential each and every one of you contain. The so-called second coming is not the second coming of the same being. It's the awakening of that consciousness within each and every one of you. And that's what happened for us 3,000 of our years ago.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Greetings.
And to you, good day.
Bashar, I had a visitation from an entity, and I've been unable to find his species in any books, and I was wondering maybe you can help me identify him.
Can you be more specific?
Yes, he was about 6 feet tall, human-type body and head, no hair, clothes. He was green, slightly transparent, with large yellow eyes.
One moment. In what manner did you have this experience? And where upon your planet? And when?
I was about 16. I woke up, it was about turning dawn, and I noticed he was looking out the window, and I kind of sat up and gasped, and he looked at me. That was in Connecticut, United States.
All right, thank you. One moment.
One moment. We are scanning. One moment. We will let the scan continue for one moment while we address a related issue. We are connected to many other beings in many other dimensions, but of course, not all of them. Many times when people say to us, Bashar, I saw a being or I saw a UFO, spacecraft. Who was that? Where was it going? Where was it from? And we reply, nearby to you there is what you call an airport. There is an aeroplane taking off now with lots of people on it. Who are they? Where are they going? The point simply being, there are many civilizations. We don't keep track of them all. We don't know everyone. And when they come and go in your world, we are not always kept apprised. However, we will do our best to pick up on the vibration of what you are asking. We are already getting some input, but we find that it is mixed in dimensionality, and thus we are attempting to sort it out in a way that makes sense, that can be translated into your language. There is an aspect of this consciousness you have described that is, and I know many of you react to this in a certain way, but please hold your reaction for a moment because it's not what you think. There is an aspect of this consciousness that is reptilian. There is an aspect of this consciousness that also comes from Sirius. There is an aspect of this consciousness that is also connected to Arcturus energy. Now, the reason it manifested in the way it did to you, understand this is what is called to some degree a screen memory. Do you understand that idea? No. A screen memory is a projection that doesn't necessarily reflect the reality of the being in its own reality. In other words, it wouldn't necessarily appear that way in its own reality. But in your reality, it must, in order to be perceived at all, cloak itself or take on the aspects of certain levels of your consciousness and use archetypal symbols in order to give you something to lock onto. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
It's like a hand extending into another reality. The only way you can see the hand, though, is if it wraps itself in a glove made out of the fabric of your reality. And then you can see the glove, but you're not actually seeing the hand in the glove. You're just seeing a representation made out of the fabric of your reality, but that's not necessarily how it would appear in its own reality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Now, this connected to you because of your particular journey in this way. Understand that a physicalized representation of beings from Sirius have appeared on your planet many times in the past, and they are to some degree in the physical state amphibious, and are represented by a type of body shape that would seem to you to be somewhat salamander-like. Do you understand?
Yes.
Not exactly what you would call reptilian, but salamander-like to some degree. They have characteristics of that nature as they appear in your reality, because of the nature of what they are in theirs. But this was connected to other realities as well, as I have said. Not only Sirius, but the idea of reptilian and the idea of Arcturus. The idea of the reptilian is also this. Many of you have heard of the idea, and we have addressed it only a moment ago, of the beings called the Anunnaki using their own genetic material and infusing it into a naturally occurring hominid species on your planet in times past, to bring about what you now recognize as human beings. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yes. Well, these Anunnaki also experimented with what you call your saurian beings. They took dinosaur DNA, infused it with their own, and created the idea of beings you now recognize as intelligent reptilian beings. So the origin of the reptilian beings genetically is also from your planet, Earth. They are in that sense your dinosaur cousins, and both of you contain Anunnaki DNA. And in that sense, this being thus also has a relationship to the amphibians on Sirius, and is also energetically connected to the Arcturus gate, which is a vibration that many beings being born on your planet now go through to help them adjust to life on Earth so they will not forget as much of who they are when they are born into your reality. So it made an appearance to check in on you, in a sense to tuck you in, and in a sense see
if you were following the energetic path that you had laid out for yourself spiritually in this life. It is acting as a type of friend, a type of guide you've had interactions with in other lives, in other dimensions, and it popped in a sense, just to look in on you and make sure that you were absorbing and adjusting and aligning to the energy of Earth correctly in the way that would still allow you to follow the spiritual path and not blot it out from your memory. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
And in that sense, therefore, it was what you might euphemistically call a sweet 16 birthday. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It was your coming out check-in.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Now, have you had any other dreams of being on ships or interacting with other beings of even a similar nature?
A couple of nights ago, after the first night of the conference, I was led up through the ceiling by the hand by some entity.
All right. Then this, again, is letting you know that these check-ins will happen from time to time and that you are doing very well. All right?
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does, as long as I'm doing well.
What excites you in life? What is your passion?
Getting closer to my God.
Which means being more of yourself.
Right.
In what way do you wish to express this in physical reality most excitedly? Anything in particular? Any particular form of creative expression?
Yes, I'm very interested in getting involved with the extraterrestrials lately, especially after this conference. A lot of fear has been taken away.
Oh, all right. Has been transformed. Remember that fear is just your own energy being filtered through negative belief systems that are out of alignment with your truth. When you filter the same energy through belief systems that are in alignment with your truth, you experience exactly the same energy as joy. It's all the same energy. Fear just lets you know your energy is being channeled through belief systems that don't serve you. And it gives you an opportunity to use fear in a positive way to get in touch with what those belief systems might be and thus transform them so you can flow your energy through them in a positively aligned way and experience that energy as joy. So fear is your friend.
Yes.
And that's when you transform it, is when you use it positively in that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bashar.
And you, good day.
I have a personal question.
That's probably because you're a person.
Yes. I feel as though I'm kind of on a threshold of a big expansion.
A threshold of a big expansion. All right.
Yes.
Just wanted to put the proper drama in it.
Okay. And so what's exciting me is something really different from what I've been doing.
Oh, and that would be what? Do share.
Well, I want to interview people who have really healed themselves,
All
or
right.
people who have jumped off the cliff and
All
they're
right.
living their joy and their passion.
Well, you go right ahead.
Okay. Well, but
Nothing's stopping you, is it?
no, I'm already starting to do it.
All
Actually,
right. Very good.
yeah.
And
And when I envision myself moving into that direction, I'm the type of person.
oh, one moment. Thought you said you were already doing it.
Yes, but
So
not.
what's the difference between already doing it and moving in that direction?
I'm just doing it for me. I'm not doing it.
Oh, all right.
You know.
Well, it's all for you and it's all for everyone.
Okay.
Being of service to everyone means being the fullest you.
Uh-huh.
If you are not being the fullest you, how can you help anyone else?
Well, see, yeah, that's my question.
Well, thank you. Glad I could ask it for you.
Okay. Thank you. I've always been the type of person who works really hard, right? You know, to create what it
Yes.
is that I want.
Do you enjoy the work? Is it fun?
Yes, part of it has been, and part of it has been feeling like work. And so,
All right.
you know, that it feels like hard work.
You mean it isn't a vibration you prefer in terms of the way you're doing it?
Right.
Well, the idea of doing what excites you the most also means having the ingenuity, imagination, inspiration to do it in a way that excites you.
Okay, that's what I want to do.
Well, go ahead. What's stopping you?
Well, I've had this resistance to
what?
To believing, I guess, that
That you can?
yes.
Why do you have that resistance? How does it serve you to believe that you can't? Because you would not believe that you can't if you didn't also believe it served you to believe that you can't. So how does it serve you to believe that you can't? I can give you an example. I'm not saying it's actually what's true for you, but I can give you an example to help you understand how to answer that.
That would be great.
All right. Many people will say, I really, really want to do this, but they don't do it. And what they finally realize when they get down to the core of their belief is that they are afraid that if they actually did it, they might fail. And therefore they won't even really try because it's safer not to do it than it is to do it and fail. Now, I'm not saying that failure in that sense is actually real, but if they have a belief that it is, then they will never go toward the thing that is more painful than where they are now, as painful as where they are might be. They will always choose the lesser pain. You understand? Always. So the idea is that if you're doing something, choosing something, resisting something, because you are, in any way, shape, or form, feeling like you may not be able to do that, that is just a belief system that you have within you. It isn't empirically true. All resistance is just resistance to your natural self. The only thing you're ever going to discover by following your joy is simply more of you. That's all you're ever going to find, no matter what happens. More of you. Because that's all there is. You understand? Now, do you have a specific handle on what particular idea might be in you? What particular belief might be in you about resisting this thing? Do you have an idea of how it may serve you to not move in that direction? Is it safer?
It's a belief I have that if you want to create something that you really desire, it's going to take a lot of work.
Well, that's all right. That's the point of doing it in the way that's most exciting. So you're saying, this is what you're saying. This is your belief. This is how it's translating through the words you're telling us right now. I believe I have this grand, beautiful, exciting, amazing, creative vision. But that grand, beautiful, amazing, exciting, creative vision, by definition, contains drudgery and effort and struggle and strife.
Right.
That's contradictory. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's not the same equation. How can the idea of your passion, by definition, contain the vibration of struggle? Something to ponder.
Yes.
The point is, if you find yourself struggling, that only means you're actually not following your passion as fully as you could be. So any struggle that you're afraid you're going to feel will only come about from the resistance itself, not from the doing of the thing that you say is your passion. Does that make sense? So any time on that journey you may feel the struggle, it's because you can then realize, wait a minute, I'm feeling the struggle because I'm actually resisting the passion. And as soon as you stop resisting the passion, the struggle will melt away. But that gives you an opportunity to get in touch with belief systems you may have that make you think you have to resist the passion. Because that is the only thing that struggle would come from. Pain. All pain is the result of resistance to your passion, to your natural self. Does that help you?
That does.
Does it make you feel a little bit freer to move forward?
It does. Yes. And also the idea of feeling the joy, feeling the excitement.
Yes.
That is what I'm learning more about, moving into.
Yes.
Because then if I just feel it,
Yes.
then it will come into reality, right?
And it will lead you to any belief systems that need to be dealt with and integrated so that you can continue to generate that energy for yourself. Yes. It's not about feeling something in a manner of glossing something over. It's not ignoring that you might actually have fear and doubt and pain within you. It's not ignoring that in what you might call a Pollyanna attitude. It's generating the vibration of certainty that no matter what the feeling is that comes up, it belongs in your life at that moment, and it's there to serve you if you use it. Then how you deal with it will be joyful. Does that make sense?
Not exactly.
All right. In other words, if you generate a feeling of joy, and you move forward, and you generate a feeling of excitement, and all of a sudden you come to a situation that suddenly generates a feeling of fear, the idea is the fear is there to help you fulfill your passion. It's there to point out a belief system that's out of alignment with your true self, and that means you're being put in touch with something that when you get in touch with it and define it and change it, will actually expand your joy and passion. So the very fact that the fear exists at that moment on the path is a good sign, because it means you're digging up things that need to be dug up to bring them to the forefront of your consciousness instead of leaving them buried, so that you can deal with them and integrate them and move forward. And therefore, when you find the fear, suddenly there will be joy in finding the fear. Oh boy, I've discovered another piece of myself that's going to make me expand. And as soon as you treat the fear that way, you will not feel it as fear anymore. So it's not about ignoring the fear or glossing it over with a feeling of joy. It's about using the joy to get you in touch with whatever fear might still be there, so that when you get in touch with it, you can transform it into joy. By finding out what the fear is there to tell you about what you believe is true in order to have felt the fear to begin with. Remember, you cannot change what you do not own. So own all the emotions, and then you can find out why they're there. Because remember, all of your emotions, all your feelings, there is no such thing as having a feeling of any kind without having a belief that generates it first. In order to feel something, you have to believe something is true. You have to define something is true. As an example, if someone walking down the street suddenly stops in front of you and looks at your white socks and says, "I really hate your orange socks," you would just stand there puzzled going, "I'm not wearing orange socks. He can't be talking to me." Doesn't make any sense. You will have no emotional reaction because it has nothing to do with you, because you don't have a definition for it. But if somebody walks up and says, "Hey, I hate your white socks," or "You're stupid," or this or that, that strikes a button within you, then you'll have an emotional reaction, only because you already have a belief about yourself in that arena of your life. You do not have an emotional reaction to anything if you have no definition for it first. So having an emotional reaction puts you in touch with the fact that you have a definition. And if that emotional reaction is joy and love, then it tells you you have definitions that are in alignment with your true self. If you have an emotional reaction of fear and anger and hate, then it's telling you you have a belief system that is out of alignment with your true natural self. And by getting in touch with it, you can redefine it, find out why it's there, identify it, transform it, and integrate the new definition that you prefer to be in its place, and move on with your life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
It really helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.
And to you, good day.
I have a number of experiences, I think, associated with contact from ETs.
All right.
And I've had a dream that I'm supposed to help a particular species when it comes to Earth.
All right.
I have a description. I don't need to know right this minute who that is.
All right.
But I also have experiences all the time at night of remembering.
Yes.
So in July of 2001,
yes,
I had 3 major energetic experiences.
All right.
Things that came into my body.
All right.
May I describe?
Briefly.
Okay.
Because you know what my favorite tea is?
No.
Brevity.
Okay, brevity. Okay, so I'll only describe one of them.
All right.
Okay. The one was I was watching a design and I was trying to remember it so I could draw it.
All right.
When I woke up.
And
as I watched it,
yes,
it came into my body.
All right.
With a huge impact.
Yes.
Okay. Since then, and then I went and I felt like it was supposed to be imprinted on the land where I was, so I did that.
All right.
But since then, I've seen it in crop circles.
Yes.
And I would like to know then where the crop circles come from, who's doing them, and what I'm supposed to do with what's already coming into my body.
All right. Number 1, the crop circles and number two, who's doing them, are coming from a collective energy experience. Your own collective consciousness is involved in creating many of those formations, along with participation from many of us and other dimensional beings, and the earth itself. You're all working together to awaken from an old dream, and you're sending yourself symbols, sending yourself language from the earth through the earth to you, to speak to your hearts from nature, to put you in touch with your nature, your vibrational, energetic nature, and your connection to the nature of earth and the earth consciousness. All of this is happening in a coordinated orchestration from all of you, all of us. Different ones, different circles at different times and different places may have a higher degree of one grouping than another, but it's all still a concert and an orchestration. Not one group is responsible. Many groups of consciousness, including yours, are responsible for the creations of those things to symbolize your awakening and to inspire awakening within you, to talk to different portions of your consciousness, to talk to the dream self and awaken you to mystery within yourself and magic within yourself. Many people on your planet desire manifestations, physical manifestations of magical things. The crop circles are one such manifestation that occur every single orbit on your planet and are available for you to go and be with and touch, and in that sense be in the sacred space that is created with them, that puts you in touch with your own sacredness. And that is how you can use them. And use them in any way your imagination desires. It's a language of you speaking to yourself to wake yourselves up to your own sacredness, your own magic, your own mystery as a co-creator. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Does that
yes.
help you?
Yes, it does. And I'd like to take that one step very quickly.
One more
further.
step. All right.
And that is, because it's a vibration that changes my body,
yes.
Is there a point in my being other places on the planet to assist in awakening?
If that excites you, you will be pulled to be in those places. Because again, when we talk about the idea of doing what excites you as a complete holistic picture, do what excites you in the way that is most exciting, where it is most exciting to do it. Whatever at any given moment is a vibration that represents the most exciting thing, and if that turns out to be a place at some given moment, then by all means allow yourself to be attracted to that place, because there is meaning in that for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Does that help?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You see, this is all about your lives becoming ecstatic explosions of synchronicity. An effortless flow of manifestation and mysterious magic that reveals more of yourselves to yourselves. You are an unfolding flower, peeling away the petals, opening up to find the core of your being, and it is all around you, it is all within you. Everything reflects it, you just have to know how to look with the vibration of your true being, and then you will see it. Because again, remember, you cannot perceive whatever is not a vibrational you are on the level of. You will not even see opportunities that could be available to you if you're not in the vibration of your joy. If you are only in the vibration of pain and doubt, you will only see opportunities that will reinforce the vibration of pain and doubt. In order to see opportunities that increase and expand your joy, you must allow yourself to be open to the vibration and create the vibration of joy and creativity within you. It's again the analogy of the mirror and the smile. You can't wait for the reflection to smile before you will. You simply have to decide you're going to smile. Why? Because you don't need a reason. Because that's what you want. Because that's who you are. You don't have to say, well, I'll smile when the mirror does, because I need a reason to smile. And only if the mirror reflection smiles first will I have a good enough reason to believe that there is reason to smile. Well, you're going to be frowning for a long, long time. And sitting there wondering why you're never going to see a smile in the mirror. It's not about the mirror. Don't do what you do because of the effects you want to see in the outer reality. Do what you do and change in the way you want to change because that's who you are. Don't do it because of what you think it will cause to happen out there. There is no out there. And as soon as you say, all right, I'll change, I'll be happy, because if I am, I know it will manifest this, you are still making it conditional on the exterior reflection. Instead of simply saying, you know what, I'm going to be that way because that's who I am and I don't need any other reason and I simply don't have any other choice because that's who I am. And that's when the miracles happen. When you as a being can look at a situation in your life, the same situation that was there before that you may have reacted to in a negative way, when you can look at the same situation and respond differently, then real change has occurred. And then that's the only way the outside can actually change. But first, you have to be willing to know you have changed and respond differently even when the outside looks the same. Because remember, physical reality is just a set of neutral props. Every single prop, every situation, every person, every place, everything, every circumstance in physical reality has the ability to serve double duty. Any situation can be experienced negatively or positively without changing one iota of how it appears. So don't base the idea that you've changed on the idea that your outer reality has to change. Many people talking to us often complain about that. Oh, Bashar, I know I'm a much more spiritual person, so why is all this stuff still happening in my life? Why do I still interact with these negative people? I thought I was supposed to be more spiritual, that they're not supposed to appear in my life anymore. Hey, you're on earth. Deal with it. The point is those symbols exist for a reason. And the idea of really proving to yourself that you have changed is not when the outer reality has changed, but that when you respond differently to the outer reality, even if it hasn't changed, then you know real change has occurred, and then you will get the outer reality. But don't do it for that reason. Do it because there is no other choice, because that's who you are. Does that make sense? Yes. Why, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Well, you pretty much answered my question before I even had to
Sometimes
ask
I have a habit of doing that.
But
a little bit of that synchronicity we were talking about.
Yes, well, I first was introduced to your energy back in about 91 in Guatemala.
All right.
And
speak up.
It helped to
speak up.
It helped to open a lot of magic in my life, a lot of...
Thank you for opening the magic in your life. I am always happy to be a symbol of your ability to do that, but that's all I am. Yes. Not opening it up for you. Right. Just being a symbol that allows you to finally believe, hey, I can do this too.
Well, I was very thankful for the symbol.
You are welcome.
And the catalyst that it provided.
You are welcome. Happy to provide catalyst, doggalist, anything you wish.
And... But in the last few years, I found myself really divorced from that whole openness and feeling closed. And
what are you exploring then?
What am I exploring?
Yes. Why do you feel yourself cut off from that energy? Well, is there some particular experience you are gaining from this? Some information, some lesson? What are you exploring by having done that? It was a choice, after all, was it not?
Yeah, well,
yes.
I'm just not sure I understand why.
That's all right. How has it served you to go through this experience of disconnection?
Well, it's led me here tonight, for one thing.
And you are counting that as a positive thing, I assume?
Oh, yes, very much so.
Oh, all right. Just checking.
Yes, definitely. It was very timely, the way...
Timely! Oh, yes, timing. Not time, timing. That's the magic. Not time, no rush, no hurry. You're infinite, eternal beings. You have all the time in creation. Why? Because you create time. There is no time. You create it. So,
It doesn't matter what kind of journey you take yourself on. Doesn't matter if you give yourself an experience of disconnection and divorce. The secret, which is no secret at all, is that you actually can never be disconnected or divorced. You can only have the experience of it. But that means you have to be connected to the infinite in order to have an experience of disconnection. Does that make sense? So looking back at the experience you've had of disconnection and now understanding you never really were disconnected, but only using your connection to create an experience of disconnection, how does that perspective perhaps shed some light on your journey up to this point?
How does it shed some light on it?
Yes. In knowing that in an experience of disconnection, you never actually could possibly have been disconnected, how does that change the experience you went through for you? Looking at it that way now. Knowing that no matter how disconnected you felt, you never really were. Does that change anything about that experience, looking at it that way?
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right. Yeah. Will you then be capable of using that knowledge in any future experience of this type?
Yes, I'm doing it right now, actually.
Thank you. Then you have the answer of how that disconnected experience has served you.
Exactly.
At least that's one example.
That's what I was saying, is that you've already kind of brought around so much of what I was going to ask, and it's
yes.
very clear now. But I
yes.
wanted to ask one other thing, if I might.
Yes.
And that is, when I was about 22,
yes.
I was in Florida.
Oh, all right.
And I had an experience.
Of what nature?
Well, it was as though it was a dream, but I knew it wasn't a dream when I supposedly woke up.
All right. Fine.
I was in the experience. It was as though I was in a complete wreck, and
wreck.
A complete wreck, like.
Do you mean a physical wreck?
Yes, it was as though I was in a physical wreck, and I was completely. Vulnerable and
do you mean like in one of your automobile vehicles?
Yeah, it was as though it was something like that.
Oh, did you die?
No.
Oh, all right.
I became aware that these what were like human hands, but I knew immediately they weren't human.
Yes.
They were elongated, very elegant looking, but white light.
Yes.
And my first thought when I saw them coming down, reaching for me, was they're not human, but they're home.
All right. May I tell you a little secret?
Mm-hmm.
You actually did die.
Uh-huh.
You actually were in an accident. You actually did die. But you reinserted yourself back into reality and only remembered it as a dream.
How interesting.
There is now a book in your reality that is the completion of a series called Conversations with God. The new one is called Home with God. You will find a clear definition of the fact in that book that without knowing it, in many of your lives, many times, you actually have an occurrence of actual physical death. But you always actually have a choice as to whether to come back or not at that moment, and not die in a parallel reality. Sometimes many of you will just chalk up that memory as a dream, or you will experience it as just something odd that you can't explain, an odd sensation, an odd feeling that you're somewhere else, somehow different, something's changed, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Something in physical reality and time and space doesn't quite match up. There's a funny little glitch here somewhere. Or some of you may not remember anything of it at all, because it simply doesn't serve you to do so. But many of you have actually died many times in physical reality and simply been given the choice to go back, in a sense, in a parallel reality just before that moment of death and simply continue on with your lives without dying. And some of you will actually remember part of it as you have done in your dream.
Well, there was more that happened.
I know.
They lifted me out,
yes.
and I saw their bodies were very long and elegant and
yes.
white light, but
yes.
they had no faces.
Yes.
And because when the hands were coming down for me,
yes.
I felt the reason I said what I said was because they emanated unconditional love.
Absolutely.
And I knew that was home.
Yes.
So then they lifted me out and they took me on board a craft.
Yes.
And they put me on a table.
Yes.
And they had these like instrument things that were hanging down
yes.
over me, and I had no resistance whatsoever because I surrendered to this unconditional love.
All right.
And I was curious, though, and they kind of went inside my body, and they were doing things.
Yes.
And my thought, I didn't say anything verbally,
Yes.
but in my thought, I thought, I wonder what they're doing. And they heard me, and they answered me in my
Yes.
head.
Yes.
And they said for me not to worry, that they just had to make a few minor adjustments,
Yes.
so that the quality of my love was more
Yes.
full.
Yes.
And that was the end of that I can remember of
Yes.
what happened with that.
Well, that's all you need to know. Now you know you have the capacity for fuller love in this particular parallel reality you have created for yourself.
So you're saying in another parallel reality I physically died.
Went into a dimension wherein beings were capable of making vibrational adjustments in what you would notice as your soul or spirit body, allowing you to thus recreate for yourself a new parallel reality, basically picking up where the other one left off, and in that sense, however, with an adjustment vibrationally that would allow you to experience a richer quality of love in your life. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's very amazing to me.
Well, you see, this is how amazing reality actually is. When you begin to awaken to all the different levels that exist within it, you will start having more and more, all of you will start having more and more remembrance of these experiences. Your lives are very, very, very complex and multidimensional and multi-leveled. And it isn't just a matter of existing on earth and then going into spirit. You're back and forth all the time in a variety of different kinds of ways, experimenting with this, playing with that, changing this, transforming that, going into this parallel reality, that parallel reality, making all sorts of connections, contracts, and agreements to change this, change that, and experience a variety of things. You just don't exactly know from this level that it's going on. But you're gaining the ability to remember and to see these things, and hence it starts often in dream. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes.
You see, when we experience you, when we feel you, when we interact with you, we're not just experiencing you, we're experiencing you! And when we speak with you, very often the information is actually coming from you, through us to you. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Unconditional love to you all. At this timing, we will extend once again to each and every one of you our unconditional appreciation, our unconditional love, and a reminder, a reminder to remember yourselves. Pull yourselves together. Integrate. Don't exclude, include. Expansion and ascension is not the result of excluding. It's the result of including all that you are and expanding to contain what you were before. The process of acceleration and ascension is the realization that you actually are the dimension of reality you previously thought you existed in. So that when you ascend, you actually realize you're simply ascending into more and more and more of yourself. And it was always there waiting for you. And always has been and always will be. Because you are eternal, infinite beings. So relax into yourselves. Be yourselves. And I guarantee your world will open up in an explosion of synchronicity that will have your head spinning. Enjoy the ride and good day. How did it go? Thank you all very, very much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Hope you had a good time.
And please have a good night, and we'll see you again sometime. Thanks.